Well, there's so many different directions that I want to go off that because first, and this is more recent on that last point, we had a conversation with a college coach that said their worst hitter each and every year of the last 3 years has been their highest bat speed guy.
Yep.
And I think that's where we get into the professional baseball conversation and kind of ties back into my point about golfers is we don't understand the margins of how elite professional
Right.
MLB major league hitters are in comparison to every level below them, right? We watch
Yes.
college baseball and there are really good players that have traits that don't translate because of that innate God-given ability to make consistent flush contact with a baseball, right? To have adjustability, to create that force in a simple, repeatable manner, like a Schwarber, like a Soto, to not feel effort-filled in our bat speed or conversation, but still create the force necessary to have the power along with the adjustability and the ability to make consistent contact, right? And when we talk about so I'm going to start on the correlation versus causation conversation that I thought of as you were talking. Kind of like velocity, the more bat speed you have, the harder you hit the ball, at least in terms of major league data, right? Like let's just put it out there that way. There is a direct correlation to bat speed and slugging percentage and harder exit velocities and more ultimately success and value as a player. But that doesn't mean every player needs more bat speed to be successful, if that makes sense, right? Because if we can't create it in a confined way that is efficient, quick, as you mentioned a couple times, that was the word I kept thinking of, that quickness is more important than bat speed, which is 100% accurate, in an efficient way to create movements that can stay consistent within the confines of a baseball field, it doesn't matter if we have more bat speed. So if we chase more bat speed and we aren't doing it within the confines of our efficient movements with a good posture to stay to the big part and be able to backspin a baseball, it is useless, right? We're going to put ourselves in more bad positions to hit than good positions to hit. To defend bat speed for a second here as well, the thing you mentioned there consistently about Soto and Schwarber is the effortless nature that it feels like they still swing with good bat speed at, right? So to defend, and I'm sure pro bat speed people would defend this as well, is what Schwarber and Soto have probably done at some point in their life is train that 100% max effort so that they can build that engine, right? And this is one thing that I've helped with a lot of young hitters. Is one of the first things I've said to them is like, hey, swing hard. And they're like, huh? Because they never thought to swing hard. I love you use this example all the time because in T-ball, they say, hey, put bat to ball, just put the ball in play, and everybody cheers for you as you're running down the line, even though it's a ground out to second or a ground out to short, and you didn't hit something far hard, right? That's what we've been rewarded for our whole life. And then at some point it switches to be like, now we only get happy when we get hits, right? Not just making contact, getting hits when we get to the next level. So a lot of young hitters come in, and when you tell them to swing hard, they naturally increase their bat speed without, and again, it gets off the rails a little bit. You got to iron it in. But that's one of the first shifts you have because if you train at a higher level, you're going to build that engine out to be quicker, faster, and more efficient in that move. And then what we're able to do is we get into game and our 80% effort is still 76 mph bat speed, which is what Schwarber and Soto have, right? They have elite bat speed from an 80% effort. Judge is the same way. We have elite bat speed from an 80% effort. You know who also has elite bat speed, but it doesn't look as efficient and effortless? Javier Baez when he was with the Cubs, right? And he had his high highs, he was a little streaky, and then his low lows, right? Because there's so much effort filled movements within his swing that it creates these inconsistencies. So that's kind of the conversation about those guys that's really important is those guys are allowed to put their swing basically on cruise control and feel so effortless in their swing so that they're able to create that adjustability and make consistent contact. But because they've probably trained in the weight room, they've trained mechanically, they've done med ball stuff, they've done overload, underload, super speed sluggers, they've even probably trained at 110% their max effort so they can feel that build of the engine. They're then able to get in game and say, when I'm facing 98 with vert, I got to be at 80% effort because I'm not going to make consistent contact enough if I'm trying too hard to hit this thing 550 feet.
Yeah, and you know who I think of a lot of times from the professional levels of like kind of the cautionary tale, and I believe in bat speed as well. But again, like to me, it's like you can't have bat speed without efficient movement and all the other requirements as well. Like you have to again, bat path. Like if you hit the ball hard, the higher levels you go up, it's still extremely important. But like
Yeah.
where are you hitting the ball hard? Are you hitting line drives? Or who's a guy that you and I waited for his breakout for years? Yandy Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the top percentile of bat speed in the league. But forever, it was like he's going to break out when he just learns how to hit a line drive. But he was hitting the ball into the ground. And
Worm
so it was
burner.
like, right. It's like, so he had the bat speed. He hit the ball hard. He clearly had the necessary strength.
Mm-hmm.
Why wasn't he one of the top players in the league offensively? Because he hit the ball on the ground. And again, the higher you go up in levels, those are outs, right?
Yeah.
Like hitting the ball on the ground is not a positive. So it's just like, for me, again, like bat speed is important, have to have the other parts of the engine.